Chapter 71, Episode 71, Gentle Snow Breeze, 2. I made a mistake last chapter. Madga was actually a woman. I've revised the previous chapter to reflect that. And here's a picture of a blue evening primrose, because it's referred to in this chapter. The fire's momentum was terrifying. The heat spread to the sky, and the flames greatly rose and seemingly reached several meters in height alone. Master Madga, you must run away. The warriors of the Angry Bull tribe were running about in confusion as they cried out. It was a natural reaction. They were in a situation where the raging flames were coming at them like a tsunami. You gentle snow breeze bastards, have you completely lost your minds? To use flames in a place like this? Are you saying that you want to die together? However, the flames have already begun to burn everything. Madga urgently ordered then. Retreat, leave the battlefield. Madga gave her orders, and everyone no longer waited. The warriors of the Angry Bull tribe began running like wild beasts as they avoided the wildfire, and Madga also began to run as she used magic to strengthen her legs. And the flames closely followed the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe. The wind roughly blew. It previously blew from the south to the north, but now it turned towards the fleeing Angry Bull tribe. The flames naturally began to follow the wind too. With her arms raised high, Cordelia made a dying sound rather than a spirited shout, and the golden tattoo on her left arm continued to shine brightly. This is hard, it's so hard that I feel like I'm dying. Controlling the gusts of wind in a windless area was much harder than before. The amount of wind that she had to handle was much greater as she had to control the widespread flames in the vast field. Cordelia's legs trembled. It was so hard that she was in tears. Jude hurriedly opened a mana potion and shoved its contents on Cordelia's mouth. Sob. Hang in there, you'll die if something goes wrong. Bewastwad fwack. Cordelia couldn't swear because she was swallowing the contents of the mana potion, but Jude could tell what she wanted to say just by looking at her eyes. But as Jude had said, failure to control the flames may result to them dying together. Cordelia focused and concentrated again. And then there were people who helped Cordelia. The shamans of the Gentle Snow Breeze tribe. Jude exclaimed as he looked towards the walls. Just as Great Storm was a wild god of the wind, as his name implied, Gentle Snow Breeze was also a wild god who controlled the wind. A strong wind blew as two shamans wearing colorful ornaments chanted their spells while on the wall. They controlled the flow of the wind in the same direction as Cordelia, so it became easier to control the flames. As expected, it's going according to plan. Jude cheered as he had anticipated that the Gentle Snow Breeze tribe would help, and Cordelia decided that she would definitely smack Jude in the back later, but for now, she used the power again. Go! The controlled flames turned into a raging fire and struck the Angry Bull tribe. Because the flames raged over such a wide area, a number of people were unable to escape and were swept away by the flames, and the intense smoke also slowed down the warriors' feet. Master Madga. No matter how powerful the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe were, they were helpless against the flames. As the warriors cried out, Madga yelled in anger and raised her skeleton staff high. Pour down, strike it, heavy rain, heaven's tears. Prior to being a mid-ranking demonic human, Madga was a powerful shaman of the Angry Bull tribe. After she almost used up an enormous amount of mana, the heavens immediately reacted. Shara. Rain poured down from the sky. It was far from enough to cover the entire field, but it was enough to intensively strike the flames. The flames began to die down. However, it did not completely die down. Having consumed an enormous amount of mana at once, Madga shouted in exhaustion. Retreat, retreat. Although it was only for a short time, the damage caused by the fire was great. In addition, Madga herself had exhausted her mana, so they had to step back for now and reorganize themselves. Retreat. Go back. Several warriors of the Angry Bull tribe guided the other warriors with flags, and the warriors who were in a mess because of the fire, smoke, and heavy rain hurriedly left the basin. After a dozen minutes, The rain stopped and the flames disappeared. The warriors of the angry bull tribe had run away. Good, as we had planned. Jude broadly smiled, and Cordelia collapsed onto the floor. Hard. It was really, really hard. She no longer had any strength left to remain standing. Jude said as he deftly carried Cordelia on his back. Good job, Gold, as expected of Gold. I'm glad that I'm silver. Because the blessing of the wind was only in the golden tattoo. In the midst of this, Cordelia tried to strangle the cheeky Jude, and Jude began to walk forward. Their destination was naturally towards the walls of the gentle Snow Breeze's tribe. What the hell were you doing? Did you want to die together? It was good that the gate opened as soon as they approached the wall, but not after that. Because one of the shamans who helped Cordelia control the wind had yelled in anger. In fact, what the shaman said was true. If the fire had spread across the basin, the flames would have burned the walls to the ground without care. Stop it, Fine Snow. It was a reckless act, but thanks to them, the enemies withdrew. But brother, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but let's postpone that for now. We have more urgent things to discuss. When the black-haired shaman with blue feathers on his head spoke as if he was comforting the other, the blue-haired shaman with red feathers closed his mouth with a look of discontent. The blue-feathered shaman said as he looked back at Jude and Cordelia. Nice to meet you, warriors of Great Storm. I am Clear Snow who serves gentle Snow Breeze, and this is my younger brother, Fine Snow. Although Cordelia didn't know the language of the barbarians, she could understand what they were saying with her senses. Are they introducing themselves? Yes. Jude nodded his head before he responded in the barbarian language, though it was on an amateur level. Nice to meet you, I'm Jude. This is Cordelia. We came to help gentle Snow Breeze. Great Storm, Violent Avalanche sent us. Each tribe living in the wild lands had a slightly different lineage. Unlike the Great Storm tribe who inherited the blood of the Winter Elves, the gentle Snow Breeze tribe inherited the ancient dwarves' lineage. Therefore, there were many people with a rather short stature and sturdy physique, and the same was true for the shamans, Clear Snow and Fine Snow. As expected, gentle Snow Breeze wants to see you. Follow me. To begin with, Clear Snow had witnessed Cordelia using the power of Great Storm. There was even the words of gentle Snow Breeze, so even if Jude and Cordelia pretended to be from the Len Kingdom, they weren't particularly wary or suspicious of the two. I understand, we'll follow you. Jude immediately replied, and after he conveyed the shaman's words to Cordelia, he followed Clear Snow. It's a small village. Jude avoided the gaze of the unfriendly Fine Snow as he looked around, and he was able to estimate the size and population of the village. The population is about 300 to 400. The interior of the basin was mostly farmland, but the area where people lived was not that wide. Everyone is exhausted. Due to the battle that lasted for several days, everyone was exhausted regardless of age or sex. Had it not been for Jude and Cordelia's intervention, the angry bull tribe would have ravaged the village by night. This way, Clear Snow led Jude and Cordelia into a temple that was built in front of a lake. It was a temple made of wood, though Jude and Cordelia felt it was just a slightly big wood cabin, but still, it was the largest building in the basin. O gentle Snow Breeze, we have brought the warriors of Great Storm. They saw a pair of feet hanging down from inside the cleanly wiped temple, and inside it, a person's silhouette was seen. As Clear Snow spoke and bowed his head in front of the feet, a voice came from the other side. Thank you for your hard work, send them in. It was a gracious voice that soothed the minds of the listeners. After Jude and Cordelia unconsciously held their breaths in nervousness, they followed Clear Snow and entered the temple. We greet gentle Snow Breeze. When Jude and Cordelia spoke together and expressed their courtesies, the little sitting girl had a clear smile. Nice to meet you, I'm gentle Snow Breeze. The sight of a girl with white hair and big wings was reminiscent of an angel in stories. However, her sickly appearance was clearly shown on her white face. Thank you for helping. Are you the one sent by Great Storm older brother? TN, they aren't really siblings, but gentle Snow Breeze uses older brother to address Great Storm as he is older than her. As a wild god, Gentle Snow Breeze could talk to them, despite their different languages. Jude and Cordelia delivered a brief summary of what had happened so far, and Gentle Snow Breeze was deeply troubled. "I can't believe they destroyed the mountain. It's terrible just imagining it. No matter how evil they are, that's really cruel." Cordelia cleared her throat, as if her conscience was stabbed at Gentle Snow Breeze's words, and Jude said with a calm face, "Violent avalanche sent us in fear that Gentle Snow Breeze would also be attacked. Since the demon followers have taken over the Angry Bull tribe, we must establish an Eastern alliance to counter them." "I see what you mean. I also think that we have to work together in order to fight against them." Gentle Snow Breeze clenched her fists, slightly moved her body forward, and then continued to speak. "A horde of demon followers did harm to the Dragon Vein. They attacked the Dragon Vein with an evil power, so I cannot use my powers properly." That was the reason why Gentle Snow Breeze clearly looked sick. Madga's conquest plan was to attack the Dragon Vein to worsen the condition of Gentle Snow Breeze, and then push the tribe into a primitive fight once they lost the powers they got from their wild god. Without the Dragon Veins, the wild lands will become inhabitable. Therefore, no one would harm the Dragon Vein, even if there was a quarrel between the wild gods and tribes. That was why Violent Avalanche and Gentle Snow Breeze so easily suffered a blow when the Dragon Vein was attacked. In the first place, the idea of attacking the Dragon Vein had long disappeared in the wild lands. They are suppressing the Dragon Vein with an evil and powerful object. Gentle Snow Breeze was one of the fairly strong wild gods. However, she was just a small and weak girl now, as her power was suppressed by the damage done to the Dragon Vein. "If we go with this flow, we'll get a quest to get rid of the stuff that's blocking the Dragon Vein, right?" Cordelia's guess was quite reasonable, but Gentle Snow Breeze brought up another story. "The tribe's warriors have already tried a few times, but the enemy's defense is strong. It's impossible to break through head-on since they've built their main camp in the place where the Dragon Vein is suppressed. Sneaking in was also uncertain. Even if they somehow freed the Dragon Vein, getting out would be a problem. If so, what should they do?" Cordelia frowned as she tried to figure out on what they should do, but Jude only looked at Gentle Snow Breeze. Because he thought that she wouldn't have brought up this story if she didn't have second best option in the first place. "I need the essence of the blue moon." Though Jude knew about almost everything in Legend of Heroes 2, this was the first time he had heard of it. Gentle Snow Breeze continued to explain. "Not far from here is a place called Moonlight Hill. The dewdrops of the evening primroses blooming there, combined with the essence of the moonlight, is what is called the essence of the blue moon. The mere mention of it made it seem like it was an item with extraordinary power. Once a month, every time the fantasy moons rises, the essence of the blue moon appears. It is something that receives the full moonlight." She was talking about the phenomenon when the two moons in the sky would look like to be the same in size. Jude reckons that it would be tomorrow. Even the animals don't approach the Moonlight Hill, because the essence of the blue moon itself has a property that revitalizes the vitality of the fields. They're afraid that they might harm the essence of the blue moon, but now is not the time to worry about that. He had a rough idea on what the situation was about. "You intend to restore your strength with the essence of the blue moon?" "Yes, with the essence of the blue moon, I'll be able to use my abilities even without the Dragon Vein. If I use that power to remove the evil object that is damaging the Dragon Vein, I'll be able to use my full power without the essence of the blue moon then." The sanctuary and her tribe had already been attacked. Gentle Snow Breeze had no intention of forgiving the group of demon followers who attacked them. It's highly likely that they know of the essence of blue moon if they know so much about the Dragon Vein. "Warriors of Great Storm, I'm ashamed of it, but my children are tired and injured from the continuous fighting and their urgency to protect this place. May I ask you to bring the essence of the blue moon to me?" At a careful question, Jude turned to Cordelia, and Cordelia nodded as if she didn't have to think about it. "We will bring the essence of the blue moon." "Thank you very much, my protection will be with you too." As Gentle Snow Breeze said that and smiled, colorful patterns were added like decorations to Great Storm's tattoo patterns. Since Gentle Snow Breeze's power was suppressed, there was no magic in the patterns right now, but when she recovers her powers, her protection blessing would activate. "Clear Snow will explain the details. If there's anything you need, just tell us." Anything. Yes, anything. We appreciate it, we will do so then. After Jude and Cordelia responded immediately, they left the temple, and gentle Snow Breeze, who was left behind, did not even felt suspicious of them. Let's leave behind our conscience. Because we need to obtain the essence of the blue moon. In fact, the two had almost run out of food and mana potions, so hearing gentle Snow Breeze's words was just perfect timing for them, since they needed to resupply their provisions. Did you have a good conversation? Just in time, Clear Snow came and asked them, and Jude and Cordelia nodded. The two then simultaneously spoke. Please guide us to the armory. Supplies storage, please guide. Clear Snow had a somewhat uncomfortable feeling at the sparkling eyes of the two, but he soon nodded. Gentle Snow Breeze's prediction wasn't wrong. Once they had retreated to their main camp, Madga thought as she looked at the Spear of Corruption, Belial's secret weapon, that was currently suppressing the dragon vein. The essence of the blue moon. Madga was originally a shaman from the wild lands. Before meeting Hurricane, she was originally called Blue Starlight, so of course she knew about the fantasy moons and also of the essence of blue moon. Her original plan was to capture gentle Snow Breeze and then take the essence of the blue moon in her free time, but all her plans were ruined by the big fire that occurred. It's obvious that gentle Snow Breeze will try to obtain the essence of the blue moon. However, she would not be able to send a lot of troops. Even the troops who were protecting the basin were lacking in number. Therefore, Madga herself did not need to send a lot of troops too. Rather, it was better to suppress gentle Snow Breeze and the basin. But Madga thought differently. Those who started the fire. Who was it? Was it gentle Snow Breeze's troops? It can't be. There were plenty of times that they could have started the fire before. Moreover, burning a field is not something a wild god would do, especially a kind one like gentle Snow Breeze. Zarakol's death. The direction in which the flames first occurred coincided with the southwest direction, where Violent Avalanche's mountain was located. It could have been a mere coincidence, but Madga believed in her intuition. We'll continue suppressing them. Tomorrow morning, as soon as they replenish themselves, they leave the main camp and attack the basin again. And Madga herself would head to the Moonlight Hill. She would take the essence of the blue moon and trample their only possibility of survival. Madga slowly nodded. In front of the Spear of Corruption which contained Belial's power, she held her hands together as if she was praying. Let's start right away. Cordelia, who was adding feather decorations to her rabbit ears headband, blinked at Jude's words. We'll go there in advance. If it's a vacant area that no one has occupied, it would be more advantageous to ambush them in advance. The essence of the blue moon would appear tomorrow, but it was not necessary to start tomorrow. The Angry Bull tribe has now retreated to their main camp. Even if they're aiming for the essence of the blue moon, as gentle Snow Breeze said, their departure will be later than us. They're geographically farther. Will they really come? It would be better to assume that they are coming. It would be much safer if they assumed the worst and moved accordingly. Other than I'm homeless again today. They had finally reached a village after a long time. The crestfallen Cordelia drooped her shoulders, but she did not insist on staying. Let's go quickly with what we've planned. If we go quickly, I'll be able to make the bed quickly, and then I can sleep early. I'm about to die because of someone who made me work hard. I understand, Princess. After checking Cordelia's condition, Jude immediately conveyed to Clear Snow about their intentions to begin. Do you mean right now? Yes, right now, so hurry up. Clear Snow looked up at the dark sky for a moment after hearing Jude's answer, but he didn't particularly complain. Gaunko is a clever guy. He'll take you well to the Moonlight Hill. May the blessing of gentle Snow Breeze be with you. May the blessing of Great Storm be with you. Jude and Cordelia responded to Clear Snow, and then rode on a large stag named Gaunko. And that night, when it was nearing midnight, after arriving at Moonlight Hill, Jude and Cordelia let out voices of admiration. Amazing. Pretty. The sight of blue flowers on a hill covered with white snow was a really mysterious sight. Moonlight and the starlight, with the white snow reflecting them. It was relatively bright even in the middle of the night, so it was possible to check the surrounding area, and Jude frowned as he saw the Moonlight Hill that was wider than he expected. The good news is that there's only a single road. Moonlight Hill was the end of a slope, so it was virtually no different from a cliff. The landform was about 30 meters high, which was too low to be called a mountain, but was quite high for a hill. It was like a cliff that seemed to have its sides shaved, except on the one side going up. Is it best to block the road until the essence of the blue moon appears, and then run away? Then how will they block the road? While Jude was contemplating this and that, Cordelia began digging the ground after viewing the evening primroses. It was to make a bed. Let's sleep and then think about it tomorrow. What is it? Jude stood still and contemplated as he looked at Cordelia, or rather, as he enthusiastically gazed at the pit that Cordelia had begun to dig. Sure enough. Sure enough what? At Cordelia's question, Jude smiled and sat close to her as he began to explain. It was a conversation that made Cordelia smile like usual. Episode 72, Rotten Water 1. Jude and Cordelia did not know much about the wild lands. This was because the opportunities to visit the wild lands were rare, of Heroes 2, and even if they could, the area they could visit was very limited. In addition, they were involved in an incident that was not covered in the game, because they had to thwart the barbarian invasion, which can be called the central event of the early scenario in Legend of Heroes 2. Therefore, it was no exaggeration to say that it was an encounter with the unknown, that despite being rotten waters, Jude and Cordelia did not know the beginning, the process, and even the results of the events that were happening at the present time, as they were in the middle of thwarting the enemy's plans with their own hands. But even so, Jude and Cordelia were rotten waters. Though they may not know of the events that were happening, they still knew about the characters who were involved. It was Madga who made it rain. Mid-ranking demonic human of the Devil's Eye, a shaman. She was originally from the Angry Bull tribe. She was abandoned once by her master, who was a great shaman, but she met Hurricane and gained the power of the demons, becoming a powerful demonic shaman. Her aggressive nature is viewed favorably. She's success-oriented and cautious. She has a lot of doubts due to being abandoned once by her master. She has a personality that prefers to handle everything with her own hands. She's too confident. An arrogant personality. Having spoken so far, Jude and Cordelia looked at each other, and Cordelia said in bewilderment, "Crazy B****, did you memorize Madga's personality rather than her stats?" "Hey, of course I memorized her stats, but I'm surprised you know a lot too. I'm as rotten like everyone else is." "You're perfectly rotten, are you oil now?" "Stop that oil nonsense." "Yes, madam." TN, recap in case you forgot, rotten refers to rotten water, and oil refers to someone who's higher than rotten water. All of these just refer to people who have played a game for a long time. Oil refers to fossil fuels, which have been around for a very long time, so Koreans ended up using it as a related slang to rotten water. After the two rotten waters finished, complementing each other, they looked towards the front, or more specifically, they looked down the ambush point. "They came," Jude said in a low voice, and Cordelia held her breath. The two was lying down on top of a high peak, and not on Moonlight Hill. There was a high peak overlooking the path that led to Moonlight Hill, and the path that led to Madga's main camp too. Waiting for them since morning was worth it, as they were able to confirm that the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe really came. As expected. Sure enough, Madga was situated in the middle of the warriors' ranks. She was easily recognizable from afar because of her helmet made of a beast's bones and her skeleton staff. After their confirmation, the two crawled and moved a little further down from their original positions before they looked at each other. Madga really came. As she was originally from the Angry Bull tribe, Madga knew well about the wild lands. So she obviously knew about the essence of the blue moon and of the location of Moonlight Hill. Madga was skeptical and had a personality that preferred to handle important matters on her own. That was why Jude and Cordelia had thought. It was highly likely that Madga would come to take the essence of the blue moon. And that prediction had become a reality. So Cordelia gestured to Jude with her eyes, and Jude nodded his head. Let's go as planned. It was their contingency plan in case Madga herself came here. A smile spread over Cordelia's face, and the two quietly stood up from their spot. They hurriedly moved to get ahead of Madga and her group. Madga's eyes narrowed when they arrived on Moonlight Hill. Moonlight Hill was a place where animals did not enter, but there was no indication of any human presence around the hill. Indeed, it's a trap. For the cornered gentle snow breeze, her only hope was the essence of the blue moon. But if the place was so quiet, Madga couldn't help but think that there was a trap. Master Madga. Wait! Madga stopped the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe as she looked at the only path up the hill, and she soon giggled. How shoddy! Although it seemed like they tried hard to hide it, Madga could see the traces of a laid trap in the middle of the pathway. While it was clean up and down the hill, there were footprints in the middle of the path. It looks like they've set up traps in the pathway. At Madga's words, her aide and the warriors were surprised and looked at the pathway. Madga kindly pointed to the footprints in the middle of the path and said, "Perhaps they're waiting in ambush up the hill, but that's just a foolish act. We don't necessarily need the essence of the blue moon." Her aide tilted his head as he was unsure of what Madga meant, but it was only for a short time. He soon opened his eyes wide in admiration. "Oh, yes, our purpose is to keep gentle snow breeze from getting the essence of the blue moon. We don't have to get the essence of the blue moon. And even if the essence of the blue moon is right there, the gentle snow breeze tribe cannot get it until the fantasy moons rises." In other words, she meant that they could just encircle the surrounding area without having to go up the hill. Even if they get the essence of the blue moon, they eventually have to come down the hill to return. We just have to wait. We don't have to go up the stage they made. Ooh. All of the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe admired Madga's explanation. They liked battles, but not all battles. What the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe liked was a winning battle. Madga looked at the pathway and the hill beyond it again, and she scornfully laughed as she said, "Wouldn't it be nice to see how patient they are, spread out and take a rest?" "Yes, master." The warriors who followed Madga went to their positions to monitor the entire Moonlight Hill, and afterwards they began to rest, such as sitting down or putting down their weapons. "You'll be the first to run out of patience." Time was on Madga's side. It was no exaggeration to say that the difference was like heaven and earth for those who would win after tonight, and those who would lose their last hope after tonight. Foolish ones. Madga smiled again before she sat in a comfortable position and began meditating. And an hour passed, another 2 hours passed. It was sunset at last. Madga slowly opened her eyes and frowned as she saw the spreading sunset in the sky. "They're more patient than I thought." Perhaps they were thinking of moving at the moment when the essence of the blue moon appears. Madga gazed at the still quiet Moonlight Hill before she gestured with her jaw to the warriors as her eyes squinted. It was almost time for the fantasy moons to rise, so a battle in any form would begin soon. A few minutes passed. When darkness spread over the sunset and the curtains of night unfolded, the moonlight flowed down. Light came from the 2 moons that floated between the starlight, and the evening primroses on the hill opened their buds all at once to greet the moonlight. In addition, the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe, who were watching from below, unconsciously exclaimed. The water droplets among the blooming evening primroses seemingly soared up, and soon after, a concentration of blue light appeared in the center of the hill. "The essence of the blue moon." An excited voice flowed out of Madga's lips. They were far away from it, yet she couldn't help but be distracted. The moonlight's essence was visible in the center of the blue light. A beautiful and unique blue jewel was floating in the air. "Ah!" Madga quickly opened her eyes, after letting out an exclamation again. Because now was the perfect time for those who lie in wait on the hill to reveal themselves. The warriors of the Angry Bull tribe also sensed it. They each pulled their weapons and adjusted their positions as they breathed like predators waiting for their prey. 1 minute passed. 2 minutes passed this time. "Master Madga." Her aide turned to Madga and Madga frowned. Were they aiming to attack after some delay in time? Were they inducing us to be caught off guard by waiting for us, and not immediately taking the essence of the blue moon? It wasn't. It wasn't that. Go up. The warriors immediately responded to Madga's orders. As soon as they sprinted along the hill's slope, a response instantly occurred. Bangs, bangs, bang. Explosions broke out all over the slope. The warriors who couldn't escape were caught in the explosion, and Madga was spontaneously relieved. I was right, there was a trap. There were people here as expected. But after a while, no one took the essence of the blue moon even when the trap was triggered, and everyone was confused. What happened? Did they give up on the essence of the blue moon? Get out of my way. Madga burst into anger as she ran straight up the slope. Some traps were triggered, but she was a mid-ranking demonic human. As she protected herself with her powerful magic, the various traps and explosions were useless against her. The essence of the blue moon. Having reached the center of the hill at once, Madga took the essence of the blue moon that was floating in the air. It wasn't fake. It was real. The jewel that was shining on her palm was the essence of the blue moon. Therefore, Madga could not understand the situation. The trap was real. The essence of the blue moon was the only hope for gentle snow breeze. However, they neglected the essence of the blue moon. There were even some installed traps, but they didn't see anyone else in this place besides them. How come? What the hell is going on? Master Madga. She turned her eyes to the cry of her aide. Her aide's fingertips were pointing to a flying red bird towards them. It was a shaman's hawk, used by the shamans of the Angry Bull tribe for communication. The direction from where it flew was where their main camp was located. It was the entrance to the basin of the Gentle Snow Breeze tribe. While Madga took the essence of the blue moon, the main camp's troops were besieging and pressuring the village of the Gentle Snow Breeze tribe. The shaman's hawk came flying from there to inform of an emergency. Why? I told the main force to only besiege them and not to fight. The Gentle Snow Breeze tribe didn't have enough power to fight outside their walls. The shaman's hawk arrived amidst the numerous thoughts swirling on her mind. It opened its mouth wide and shouted. Emergency, emergency, the wild god descended. Gentle Snow Breeze. She was a wild god whose power was suppressed and unable to make a move. She was anxiously waiting for the essence of the blue moon to liberate her power. Madga gazed down on her hand. The essence of the blue moon was there. It wasn't in Gentle Snow Breeze's hands. But how? Lie. Madga understood then. She understood what happened. She realized what had happened. So she turned her gaze. She looked in the direction of the main camp. 10 minutes before the Fantasy Moon's phenomenon occurred. Jude and Cordelia did not fail in getting the essence. It was not the essence of the blue moon that mattered. Gentle Snow Breeze only needed the essence of the blue moon in order to regain her powers in the first place. So there was no need to do that. There was no need for them to cling to the essence of the blue moon. There was a more direct way to liberate the power of Gentle Snow Breeze. When they had confirmed that Madga was headed for Moonlight Hill, Jude and Cordelia immediately began to act. Instead of running towards Moonlight Hill, they frantically ran towards Madga's main camp. Their idea was simple. As long as it's not Madga, it's okay. Mid-ranking demonic human Madga. She was a strong opponent that they couldn't win against yet if they used their usual methods. They were sure of where she was now. They were sure of where she wasn't now. Therefore, Jude and Cordelia were able to move freely. Boom! 24 gale steps. Gales and whirlwinds rose. As if in response, Cordelia's hair was dyed black, and orbs of mana floated around her. Defend! Stop them! Madga wasn't a fool. She obviously left behind some forces to defend their main camp. Although there were a few of them, it was the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe, as well as a low-ranking demonic human. All right, a low-ranking demonic human. Cordelia brightly smiled. A smile also spread on Jude's face. a low-ranking demonic human. To be exact, it was Karaba, a water attribute and warrior-type demonic human. Jude narrowed his distance to Karaba at once and used the Holy Cross Punch. As Karaba bounced from the attack, he followed it with Lightning Punch, and Cordelia's Dark Blade also shot and pierced through Karaba's chest. We can't win against a mid-ranking demonic human yet. They calmly admitted it. Because it was true. And what those words meant was true. Cordelia threw the mana orbs everywhere to stop the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe. Jude took hold of the distressed Karaba and dealt the final hit to Karaba's chest using the Eastern warrior's sword. Shutting. A ring of pure white light appeared around Jude and Cordelia. Jude rushed towards the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe this time. He used the protection of the wind barrier to block the arrows and swept them with the 24 gale steps. Huh. Cordelia roughly used the witch's power as she advanced towards the spear of corruption. As her blue eyes shined, she said with an evil smile, "But if it's a low-ranking demonic human, we'll win, right? As long as it's not Madga." Only Madga. She was inside Madga's tent. Cordelia tightly grasped the spear of corruption. As if she was a warrior who was pulling out a holy sword, she pulled out the demon's spear and liberated the dragon vein's power. Episode 73, Rotten Water 2. A brilliant golden light filled their sights. The moment she pulled out the spear of corruption, the power of the dragon vein surged and covered the whole area. Gawa. My eyes, my eyes. The warriors of the Angry Bull tribe, who were already corrupted by the power of Belial, were tormented by the sacred power that had been unleashed from the dragon vein. Jude turned to Cordelia and she nodded. They freed the power of the dragon vein by pulling out the spear of corruption, but they did not intend to stop there. Cordelia looked back at where the spear of corruption had been thrust. She chanted the spell as she faced the pulsating golden stream under the cracked ground that looked like it was ripped apart. Then she completed it. Thus, she made it explode. F***CK bang. The spear of calamity struck the dragon vein. It then exploded and completely made the dragon vein run away, which had already gone out of control by half. Barang. There was a roar. The earth shook one after another, and what Cordelia had hoped for began to happen. Earthquake is an earthquake. The warriors of the Angry Bull tribe screamed, and the ground that was really shaking began to crack altogether. Jude and Cordelia tried to destroy the main camp itself by making the dragon vein run out of control. Yahoo! In the midst of the earthquake which cracked the ground and the runaway dragon vein soaring into the sky, Cordelia raised both of her arms up high and brightly laughed, and Jude sighed as he thought that this was his fault. Because the moment he saw her, he imagined that she would look like a perfect Gwang Yeonai if she put a flower in her hair, and that he thought she was pretty despite that. Koreans have this superstition presumption that if a woman puts a flower in her hair, it signifies that she is crazy, as in, mentally crazy, psychotic, or a mentally disabled woman. They call these women Gwang Yeonai, which means crazy B***tch. How this originated is a mystery, but it still persists up to this day. Madam. Dolsui. Despite the shaking of the earth, Jude could still use the 24 gale steps. Jude used the gale to run at once towards Cordelia, and Cordelia leapt towards Jude. Merge. She wasn't really serious. As soon as he heard Cordelia's shout, Jude turned his back, and Cordelia clung on Jude's back and then slapped it. Merge used here can also be combine, unite, transform, fusion, etc. This word is commonly used in mecha robot series, where multiple parts merge combine into one giant robot. An example would be the series Volts V, where the team shouts "Let's Volt in" to merge into one big robot. Let's run. Cordelia hugged Jude's neck with one hand and shouted cheerfully, and Jude fixed Cordelia's position before he started running again. Hold on tight. I'm already holding on tightly. Bang! Jude kicked the ground. Using the whirlwinds, he spurred on the cracked and shaking ground to escape from the Angry Bull tribe's main camp. There were various loud sounds heard everywhere, such as shattering, breaking, and collapsing, as well as the cries of the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe, but Cordelia, who was the main culprit of everything, merrily laughed. Yay, so exciting. They were then finally outside the impact zone of the earthquake. From above a barren hill, they saw the main camp itself being destroyed, and scattered in all directions. Mission clear. Good job. At Jude's praise, Cordelia cleared her throat and said as she stared at the spear of corruption in her right hand, "Jude, gentle snow breeze will regain her power now, right? She'll regain it, or rather, I think her power's restored now." With Cordelia on his back, Jude turned his gaze towards the direction of the basin of the gentle snow breeze tribe. And Cordelia saw it too. A sacred blue light soared up high from that distant place. Madga saw it too. And she realized. The enemies had pulled out the spear of corruption that was blocking the power of the dragon vein. They ignored the essence of the blue moon and attacked the main camp instead. What they needed was not the essence of the blue moon, but the means to restore the power of gentle snow breeze. She confounded the means with the end, and as a result, gentle snow breeze regained her power. It can't be. She thought on what the series of events mean. Failure. It was a disastrous and big failure. Madga herself failed. She screwed up her mission. No. Madga's breathing became rough. His eyes turned bloodshot. Madga hugged her own shoulders as she muttered in a small voice, "I can't fail." She couldn't fail. Master Hurricane would abandon me too. He'll abandon me like my master No, that son of a B*TCH that calls himself master. I can't fail. I mustn't fail. She was as Jude and Cordelia had analyzed. Madga was success-oriented and had an arrogant personality. And the root of that personality was the pain of her past from being abandoned by her master. She couldn't fail, so she had to succeed in everything. So that she wouldn't become someone that would be abandoned. So that she would be in a position where she wouldn't be abandoned. She armed herself with arrogance. She sought perfection by doing everything in person. Failure. Madga had a strong obsession with success. So this much failure was unacceptable. She would do anything to prevent failure. Master Madga. Her aide looked at Madga with a worried look, and Madga looked up and saw her aide. Her words poured out. "Sacrifice yourself for the great cause." Master Madga. That was it. Madga's hand touched her aide's forehead. Before he could respond, Madga chanted the spell to activate the technique she had prepared in advance. Oh, ow. A dark red magic circle was drawn on the whole body of the aide, with its center on the forehead. And it wasn't just the aide. All the 20 or so warriors that Madga had brought also screamed painfully. Master Madga. WHY. Madga did not answer. She recited the spell and clenched her fists, and at that moment, her aide and other subordinates became pools of blood. They became sacrifices to the magic circle, to be offered to Belial's altar. Human offering. It was the fastest and surest way to borrow the power of the demon. Madga closed her eyes. Dark red energy gathered in the place where her aide and subordinates stood, and the energy rushed forward towards Madga. I can't fail. I must succeed. Although the dragon vein was liberated, it was only for now. The time when gentle snow breeze's power was blocked was long. Belial's power had harmed her little by little. So Madga still had an opportunity now. She could still do it. Madga opened her eyes. Her eyes shone red as it changed into compound eyes like that of an insect. Large moth wings sprouted from her back. Madga flew. She headed towards the basin of the gentle snow breeze tribe. Gentle snow breeze flew up into the sky. As she widely stretched out her snow-white wings that was like an angel's wings, she released her power, and the demonic power that threatened the basin was cleansed in one fell swoop. Go forth, my children, my power shall be with you. Gentle snow breeze's power permeated into her tribal warriors. A blue wind wrapped around them, and each of them took their weapons and charged. The clear snow and fine snow brothers helped the warriors by summoning gusts of wind. Sweep them away, gusts of wind. Run wild, strong wind. A raging wind rose and pushed its way through the warriors of the angry bull tribe, and warriors of the gentle snow breeze tribe followed it. The warriors of the angry bull tribe outnumbered them several times. but the direct protection of a wild god was powerful. Moreover, gentle Snow Breeze did not just look around. Wind shield, wind blades. High up in the sky, gentle Snow Breeze continuously moved her hands. She protected her warriors with a wind barrier and attacked the angry bull tribe by directly swinging wind blades. Like that, she tore up the enemy troops. After they had driven out the angry bull tribe, they would join forces with the other tribes in the south. A smile spread over gentle Snow Breeze's face. She did not like to fight, but the moment the enemies tried to destroy her and her children, she brought down her punishment. She put off being merciful for a while, and her accumulated anger burst out. The two sides fought for a long time. As if proving that they were the strongest warrior tribe in the wild land, the warriors of the angry bull tribe endured the onslaught of the gentle Snow Breeze tribe, and a powerful energy suddenly drew near. It was such a powerful and extreme energy that even she, a wild god, couldn't ignore it. Master Madga! It's Master Madga! The warriors of the angry bull tribe shouted in joy. Although her eyes became compound eyes and moth wings sprung out of her back, Madga still had the form of a human. Madga saw her warriors. She looked back and spotted gentle Snow Breeze before she wryly smiled. As expected, you're weak. Gentle Snow Breeze was not in perfect condition yet. So Madga still had a chance. Madga raised her hand. Gentle Snow Breeze had an ominous feeling and hurriedly called forth the wind, but Madga's spell was faster. Sacrifice yourselves for the great cause. Magic circles were drawn, starting from the foreheads of the angry bull tribe's warriors. Her spell reached close to 100 warriors, out of the hundreds of warriors present. Master Madga! It was another aid of hers. The warriors of the angry bull tribe looked up at Madga with stupefied faces, and Madga did not hesitate. She clenched her fist and made an offering again. Allah! Here! Master Madga! It's the demon's magic. Screams and shouts, and voices filled with fear were heard everywhere, regardless of enemies or allies. Madga ignored everything. She simply accepted the temporary power that she gained from offering 100 sacrifices. It was too much a power for her mid-ranking demonic human body to accept. Therefore, Madga's body enlarged. Her upper body was covered with an animal's tough skin, and her legs transformed into numerous spider legs. Her arms turned into sharp blades like the arms of a praying mantis. Moth wings widely spread out on her back, and numerous horns sprouted instead of hair. She had become a monster and was no longer a human. She had become a demon. But Madga felt ecstatic. She was thrilled by the demonic power that filled her body. Gentle Snow Breeze. Madga crazily smiled. She had become a giant of nearly 12 meters tall, and she charged towards Gentle Snow Breeze. Wind barrier. Gentle Snow Breeze urgently cried and created dozens of wind barriers. Madga didn't care. She wildly swung her arms and tore the wind barriers. She moved step by step as she headed towards Gentle Snow Breeze. The clear blue sky turned black. Madga's eyes turned dark red. Every time a wind barrier was torn, Gentle Snow Breeze let out painful groans. The demonic energy overwhelmed everyone. The angry bull tribe as well as the Gentle Snow Breeze tribe could do nothing but just look. They just watched the clash between the wild god and the demon. But there were two people. They were two people who did not just watch. Wow, is this for real? Isn't that a demon prince? It's crude like the original, as expected of Madga. It's the same as last time. Demon prince. They were strong lords of hell. It wasn't a demon prince that appeared right now. Madga forcibly raised her power through human sacrifices, and it was just a temporary monster that would eventually disappear over time. But it was still powerful. You have to hold out for 15 minutes in the original story, right? Because she'll lose that state in 15 minutes. Gentle Snow Breeze won't last 15 minutes, right? You think she can't hold out for long? Yes, she basically can't fight. Even now, she was just standing there and only creating barriers. If it continued like this, gentle snow breeze would be crushed by Madga in less than 3 minutes, let alone last for 15 minutes. She has no particular weakness. Jude's eyes narrowed as he looked at Madga. Even in the original story, Madga couldn't be defeated while in that state. The strategy was to just hold out and buy some time. But this place was real. Moreover, there was a wild god called Gentle Snow Breeze. So perhaps there was something that they could do, perhaps there was a side that they could stab. When Jude began to worry about it, Cordelia didn't think much. She took out a hair tie and neatly gathered and tied her long voluminous hair together. Put your brain to work, that's why you aren't number one. Hey, I'm number one. Jude hadn't mentioned it recently about he himself being first place and Cordelia being permanently second place. But Cordelia scornfully laughed. Even if she was permanently second place, there was one area where she was ranked first. I'm first place in hunting. Moreover, it wasn't just that. Gentle Snow Breeze is there. It is easier to deal with if it's such a big monster type rather than a human type. And because you're here too. Cordelia had a nice smile, and Jude unconsciously looked at Cordelia with a stunned face. Shall we go then? Cordelia laughed again. In order to fight doping, she doped herself by taking out the medicine bottle she had kept in her waist and gulped down the liquid inside at once. The Tomb Guardian. The blood of a beast-type angel. In the game, it was a useless item. However, this was reality, and after various experiments, Jude was able to find out where to use it. The angelic blood flowed down Cordelia's throat. The angel's power spread all over her body, and temporarily awakened the power that was long asleep in her blood. Cordelia's hair, which had turned black because of the witch transformation, remained the same. However, her body gained new powers. Her teeth grew into fangs like a beast, and the pupils in both of her blue eyes changed like those of a cat. If one had to name her status, it was the beast mode. You're like a real beast. Because Cordelia was wearing the rabbit ears and tail too. As Jude softly muttered, he opened the second door of Ninth Heaven's 9 doors. He raised his golden sacred battle aura to boost the power of his whole body. What though wasn't the second door passive? No, I thought that I had to do something too. Cordelia blinked at Jude's reply and soon laughed. She then looked at their front again. Before she knew it, more than half of the wind barriers had been destroyed, and Wild God, who was not good at fighting, was about to cry. Let's go, they both said together. The 2 rotten waters looked back at each other for the last time before they rushed towards the demon. Episode 74, Rotten Water 3. Terms used in this chapter. Backflip, a type of somersault which involves jumping and turning backwards and landing on one's feet. Fastball, a type of very fast throw in baseball. Baekjo, intertwining with each other like a single tree. This is a Chinese idiom, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. The first half of the idiom, Chinese letter, refers to the Baekjo, a mythical creature which is a pair of male and female birds with one eye and one wing each who always fly together. It also refers to couples who have a deep and positive relationship. The last part, Chinese letter, describes 2 trees with different roots growing closer and intertwining their branches with each other. So what this idiom means is that 2 people are so close that they become one. It is also used to describe lovers couples who are deeply affectionate or close to each other. For the boss monsters in games, there existed patterns. Their attack methods. Their attack timing. Their attack sequence. And in fact, it didn't just happen in games. Even in reality, patterns existed too. The attacks and frequent strikes they execute were often based on the attacker's habit, preferences, and so on. Their unique movements before the attack. The time required for an attack to be triggered. Their attack range. If one knew all of these, and they had the eyes to assess and the reflexes to react properly, it became possible to do something. Particular actions such as defeating the boss while naked, or dancing while defeating the boss, became something that were possible to do. It was the so-called Rotten Waters play. Catch me if you can, Tilda. Cordelia cheerfully shouted, as she used the Bear family's footwork technique. Due to the haste, magic she cast twice, and the footwork technique of a prestigious family, her agility tremendously increased, and her movement was like a beam of light that exceeded the wind's movements. Boom, booms, boom. Madga's attacks struck the places where Cordelia was last standing. Every time the huge sickle-like arms hit the ground, the earth shook, but there was no hesitation in Cordelia's steps, even when the places she had just stood on were being destroyed. Heads, head. Cordelia didn't just shout out words. Magic bullets flew in front of Madga and struck Madga's head without fail. But its power was weak. Although it hit Madga's head, it literally just hit her and didn't do much damage. It couldn't even stop Madga for a moment. But Cordelia didn't care. She quickly evaded Madga's sharp blades that were wildly swung and used the protection of the wind barrier to block the venom from Madga's arms. She didn't stay in one place for long but kept moving. Foolish bee asterisk tch. Madga burst with anger and released the demon's power. She stamped the ground with her 8 feet, and a purple aura spread out in all directions. It was impossible to evade because it was an attack that covered the entire area, and not a point or linear attack. Nope, I can avoid it. Cordelia jumped high as if she was a high jump athlete. With a backflip, she easily evaded the demonic power that spread out on the ground. Head! Cordelia shot her magic again after her somersault, and the magic bullet flew like a fastball and hit Madga's head, without fail again this time. Ow! Madga angrily screamed. That bee asterisk tch, who was idly moving around, should have been torn apart by that attack, yet it was not enough as she kept hitting Madga's head. If she had thought rationally, it would have been correct to ignore Cordelia and charge at gentle Snow Breeze, but she couldn't ignore Cordelia because of her irritation. Furthermore, the demonic power that she had rapidly received made her more violent and lose her self-control. Madga was so preoccupied with tearing Cordelia apart that she couldn't even think of attacking gentle Snow Breeze. Her aggro is so sick. Jude admired it before he created a whirlwind. He steadily did his job, evading Madga's attacks while attacking the gaps. He was doing something similar to Cordelia, but also different. It looked like he was dodging and hitting too, but there was a difference in the details. Leg. If Cordelia was the light, Jude was the wind. Like the wind that couldn't be caught, Jude ran amidst Madga's attacks and persistently aimed at Madga's legs only. Unlike the head, Madga had 8 legs, so there were plenty of places to hit. Leg. As Cordelia had said, large monsters were rather easy to deal with. Since Madga was huge, all of their attacks would still hit, even if it were not precise, and Madga's attacks were also easy to avoid. Rather, Jude and Cordelia would have struggled more if Madga had appeared as a mid-ranking demonic human. Of course, it's still not easy. They would kick the bucket if they get hit by even one attack. In fact, the surrounding area had been completely devastated by Madga's attacks. It was full of smashed and cracked places, and there were spots that were contaminated with poison, and spots where the poison even melted the ground. So the angry bull tribe or the gentle Snow Breeze tribe couldn't even approach out of fear. This is better though. Even a graze would become a serious injury. Anyone who intrudes on the fight would only be a hindrance if they cannot evade all the attacks like Jude and Cordelia. Tayed. Dozens of magic bullets struck Madga's head as if it were beating a drum. It didn't hurt her. More than half of the flying magic bullets were destroyed before it even reached the head. But Madga was still angry. Her rage surged and burst out. Allah. Madga's irritation exploded, and she opened her mouth wide this time and shot sound waves. And at that moment, gentle Snow Breeze intervened. Wind blade. A sharp wind rushed and jolted Madga's sound waves. The direction of the attack naturally changed, and Cordelia tried to avoid the sound waves by rolling on the ground in a hurry. Seriously, don't butt in. Just restrain him, restrain. Cordelia and Jude simultaneously shouted, and gentle Snow Breeze flinched and became dejected, before she pouted her lips and concentrated on only restraining Madga's power again. In the first place, Jude and Cordelia were able to fight well against Madga, because gentle snow breeze suppressed Madga's demonic power with her divine power. Jude counted the numbers in his mind. This was reality, so it was a little different from the game. The sound wave attack was a new attack that they had encountered for the first time. The existing attacks were also slightly different from the game. However, Jude had a heavenly talent for martial arts, and Cordelia was a combat genius. Jude calculated. Cordelia felt it through her instincts. The two rotten waters quickly grasped the new attack pattern and turned Madga's attack into nothing. Head. Cordelia used the protection of the wind barrier. Instead of using it to block the front, she used it as a foothold and jumped, climbing the body of Madga afterwards. Madga urgently tried to catch Cordelia, but it was impossible. Cordelia dashed and leapt again at some point, before she struck Madga's head with magic bullets again. Arg, this bug-like B** TCH. You're the bug. Provocations originally worked better if it were childish ones. As she bled from her head, Madga exuded a powerful force that blew away the divine power of gentle snow breeze that was restraining her at that moment. Boodawam. Intense airwaves spread out to the surrounding area, and the jumping Cordelia was thrown off at once, as if she was swept away by a storm. But it wasn't called beast mode for no reason. Cordelia used the protection of the wind barrier in succession as a shield and foothold. Like a cat or savage beast, she kicked on the footholds one after another. Pa. Her splendid aerial movements made anyone dizzy from just watching it. Even Madga watched her in a daze, and Cordelia finally landed on the ground after a beautiful backflip. Hi. Cordelia lowered her stance, as if she was really an animal before she sighed in relief, and Jude rushed forward. He didn't give Madga a moment of rest. Lydeg. You bug-like B** starred. Their attacks weren't random. Due to the constant attacks of the two, Madga missed her tempo several times. Her attacks went badly, and as time passed, she lost her composure. Why? Madga herself was a mid-ranking demonic human. She personally sacrificed more than 100 warriors and temporarily obtained the powerful strength of a demon. But why? How come? Head. Leg. Gentle snow breeze's power suppressed Madga's demonic powers once again. Jude and Cordelia moved beautifully again. They were indeed like Ikjo intertwining with each other like a single tree. The strikes of the two were like that of one person. Jude continued to count numbers. Cordelia felt it instinctively. And gentle snow breeze became aware of it. Madga's power was weakening. The demonic power that she used to confront the wild god was rapidly diminishing. And at some point, 15 minutes. 5 cup noodles. Cup instant noodles usually take 3 minutes to cook, so Cordelia meant that she can cook 5 cup noodles in a row in 15 minutes. Cordelia shouted whatever words she had in mind and changed her way of combat at that moment. She, who had been evading earlier, now concentrated the witch's power in one of her hands. It's breaking, Jude exclaimed. What he said was true. Cracks appeared in Madga's whole body before it broke apart and collapsed. The purple aura disappeared, and black ash quickly covered their sight at once. Her transformation was undone. She returned to a mid-ranking demonic human. Moreover, there was a penalty. Due to her excessive increase in strength, Madga's power temporarily dropped sharply. That was the moment they were aiming for. The moment when the enemy became most vulnerable. Bang! Jude kicked the ground. Instead of shooting forward, he ran in a circle to control the wind. He used the 24 gale steps. Having gathered the whirlwinds and gale, Jude used the created whirlwinds to blow towards Madga. The black ash that blocked their view was scattered at once. I can see her. By the time gentle snow breeze cried, Jude and Cordelia were already moving. Once again, the two moved beautifully like Ikjo intertwining with each other like a single tree. Ladyiag. Now, just by listening to those shouts that she deeply loathed, Madga reacted reflexively. Despite some difficulties, she spread out the demonic power on her head and legs. Then Jude and Cordelia's attacks overlapped. Each of them used the strongest attack they could deal on Madga. Spear of Calamity. Hell's Blood Slash. A pitch-black spear pierced Madga's chest. A red sword cut Madga's back. Madga's chest and back, which had been defenseless, could not withstand the attacks of the two. Madga vomited black blood, and black blood also spouted from her back like a fountain. Why? You said it was the head. You said it was the leg. The moment death was right in front of her eyes, what came out of Madga's mouth was a voice full of resentment. Having met eyes with Madga, Cordelia said as her fangs shined. You broke the pattern. You're really saying whatever you want. It finally ended after Jude's comment. Cordelia released the Spear of Calamity from her hand, and Jude greatly stepped back. You're like demons. Those were her last words. Countless cracks spread throughout Madga's body, and it soon burned. Her body became black ash and scattered. And the two people. Surrounded by rings of white light that rose in succession, Jude and Cordelia clicked their tongues as soon as they saw each other. Wow, that's really dirty. Did you cut her back when you said leg? You said head. I hit her from the front at least. Back attacks usually deal more damage, it gives you more points. Do you like getting more points? I'm glad I won first place. I'm happy because I'm first place. The taste of first place is so good. Evil B** starred. Nasty B** starred. Anyway, you're a damn B** starred. The two continued to say whatever they wanted before they started laughing and simultaneously looked down. Because they saw what the boss monster had left behind after it disappeared. It's pretty. Its beautiful color unintentionally drew them in. A natural gem that was made from the power of the moonlight. The essence of the blue moon. A divine item that Madga could not absorb because of its divine power. A bright smile spread over the faces of Jude and Cordelia. Episode 75.1, Settlement 1. Terms used in this chapter. Spec, gaming term that can mean a character's specifications or specialization, or how one distributes skill points among the various skill trees available. Control, gaming term which means how a user controls the actions of their playable character, including aiming and moving skills, and the ability to use skills appropriately. Gimoti, a Korean slang used in chat rooms to describe someone who is really bad at playing games. Gi means inferior or worthless, while moti means mother's womb uterus. Moti is also used to refer to being born to be, naturally, etc. If you combine moti with the word solo, it refers to people who are single since birth, no GFBF ever. So Gimoti literally means being inferior bad since birth. Jude remembered his first encounter with Cordelia. It was the time before they were reincarnated as Jude and Cordelia, when they were still Outboxers 009 and Yellow Storm. They had lived as Jude and Cordelia for many years, and if you count the number of years they've known each other, it was 22 years ago, as Jude had first met her in the game more than 5 years ago when he was still Kang Jin-ho. It was the time when Outboxer 009, or Kang Jin-ho, started playing the game. In fact, Kang Jin-ho had lived a life that was quite far from games. It was only a coincidence that he suddenly began playing games and RPGs with VR functions. One could say that it was beginner's luck. Fortunately, Legend of Heroes 2 was a game that Kang Jin-ho really liked. It's fun, it's why people play games. In Legend of Heroes 2 there were two modes, single player and multiplayer. In single player, the player literally conquered the story alone. On the other hand, multiplayer was a mode where single players who have finished any kind of ending of any character can gather together to take part in adventures. In order to become strong in multiplayer, you have to play all the characters in single player and get high scores. It was not a joke to delve every corner in order to get high scores. There was a deck system in multiplayer mode. It was a system that strengthened the stats of multiplayer characters by combining the stats and so on of each playable character that a user played in single-player mode. In other words, it meant that the character of a user who cleared both Jude and Cordelia in single-player mode was stronger in multiplayer than the character of a user who only cleared Jude in single-player mode. On top of that, the multiplayer character of a user who cleared Jude with 120 points was stronger than the user who cleared Jude with 100 points. In short, one had to clear all the characters in single-player mode with the highest scores. It was a system that emphasized hard work, so he found it interesting, but didn't think of actually trying it. He wasn't really interested in competing in multiplayer mode. But let's try experiencing it once. The bad ending was also an ending, so when he lost and got the death ending in the Northern Barbarians' Great Invasion, he gained access to multiplayer mode. Okay, enter a nickname. He entered multiplayer mode under the name Outboxer009. At first glance, it didn't seem much different from single-player mode, but there were two very big differences. One was that there were other players in Pleiades besides Outboxer009 himself, and the other was the fact that the battle difficulty of the game rapidly became difficult. You have died. Not long after he went out of town, Outboxer009 accidentally died and became a corpse that slumped on the ground. So that's why you needed to clear single-player mode. First of all, it was ideal to be above a certain level, whether it was on spec or control. The enlightened Outboxer009 waited for a while before clicking the reset button. Because there was a user who was approaching him at that time. Oh, are you trying to help me? If one used the resurrection feather that was given at the beginning of multiplayer mode, it was possible to save those who had just died. At that time, Jude was still a novice gamer, so he was unaware of the attitude of gamers playing multiplayer games. Therefore, with a pure heart, he waited for the user to approach him. Pretty. He was sure that character's name was Cordelia. She was a beautiful girl with striking red hair. The Cordelia user walked right in front of him and looked at its corpse, and Kang Jin-ho stared at the Cordelia user with expectant eyes. Then the Cordelia user said, "Yellow Storm, LOL Games Gimoti." What? The bewildered Jude blinked his eyes, but his character was still dead. The Cordelia user laughed a few more times before just passing Outboxer009 and went on their way. After a few seconds, a few minutes. LOL Games Gimoti. Game la Gimoti. You're bad at games since birth. It was a trivial remark. Words that he could just ignore. But strangely, mysteriously, the words struck Kang Jin-ho's mind hard. It was completely stuck in his head and did not disappear. So naturally, the user who said those words was also clearly stored in Kang Jin-ho's memory. Yellow Storm. It was the first meeting of the two which Jude remembered, but Cordelia did not remember. Hey, get it quickly. Huh. Quickly. It was right after they defeated Madga. Cordelia abruptly urged him as she stared and smiled at the essence of the blue moon, and Jude was a little confused. The essence of the blue moon. The essence of the blue moon, what if gentle snow breeze takes it away? Take it quickly. No, just absorb it, okay, quickly. Gentle snow breeze clearly said it. The essence of the blue moon was a very important item, so the animals in the area did not touch it. She decided that he should use it in this extreme emergency. Just touch it and say that you accidentally absorbed its power. Yes, that would be good. I'll help you make excuses. Cordelia, who had said so far, quickly picked up the essence of the blue moon from the ground and even placed it on Jude's hand. The essence of the blue moon was an essence of the pure moonlight, so it was a cluster of divine power. Therefore, Cordelia could not use it properly because she uses the witch's power. No, she has the sacred rod moonlight. Wouldn't the essence of the blue moon be absorbed by moonlight, since it is also moonlight? Hey, wait a second, what about moonlight? Wouldn't it be able to absorb it? Oh, as expected of my Jude, that's a good idea. No, just absorb it yourself. That would be better than strengthening equipment. No, you'll be the one using moonlight, so. No, you absorb it, you consume it and open the third door, that's much better. The two were yielding the item to each other, which was something that was unimaginable for them to do in the past. And time passed while they were doing things that was unlike them. Oh no, she's coming. Gentle snow breeze was flying towards them. She had a lovely smile on her face, but for Cordelia, it looked like an evil face that had come to take away the item. "I'll do something about it, okay?" That was it. Cordelia hurriedly blocked Jude's mouth, and gentle snow breeze landed in front of Jude and Cordelia. "You did it, you two, we did it." Gentle snow breeze broadly smiled and shouted with her arms stretched out wide open. Instead of hugging gentle snow breeze, Cordelia said with a determined face, "Gentle snow breeze. Yes, my Jude is sick." "Hey." Gentle snow breeze was startled and turned to Jude, and Cordelia poked Jude in the ribs hard and silently whispered, "Pretend to be sick, pretend to be sick." What the hell is she doing? However, Jude made an exhausted expression to adapt to Cordelia's intention, and Cordelia continued her words. Actually, Jude was born with an illness called Gumjalmeek. Because of that, his body had been very weak since he was young. Look at his forearm here. Cordelia tried to emphasize Jude's thin wrist and forearm, but soon blinked her eyes, and gentle snow breeze tilted her head in confusion. They had no choice but to do that because... When did you become so strong? Jude's forearm was no longer like a corn stalk. It was strong and firm like a club. No, I mean, think about it. What are our levels now? At Jude's rebuttal, Cordelia unconsciously gulped. When she thought about it, it was just as Jude said. Because of repeatedly leveling up, the two were already above level 40. It was estimated that the highest level of Legend of Heroes 2 was over level 300, but that was when the great demons appeared. In this world, though, the average level of ordinary knights was level 20. Yet the two were around level 40. Basically, one's physical abilities increased when their level had gone up, so Jude, a martial artist character, had a greater increase than the wizard character Cordelia. In addition, Jude had been constantly exercising every day according to Landius teachings, so it was natural that his forearms had become thicker. Come to think of it, you've also become taller. Because the two were close together, she realized their height difference again. She had to raise her head now in order to make eye contact with Jude. It's not a teenager's growth period, since his growth is too fast. No, he's 17 years old, so it's correct to say that it's his growth period now. Cordelia. Gentle snow breeze asked. Cordelia, who was in a daze for a while, was startled, before she resumed talking. Know that, anyway, even though Jude is fine on the outside, he is in bad shape on the inside, so he needs treatment. In bad shape. Gentle snow breeze looked at Jude again, and Cordelia frowned. She was having a hard time since Jude looked too healthy. Moreover, gentle snow breeze had seen Jude moving vigorously. It seemed very difficult to convince that Jude, who was running like a gale earlier, was actually weak and sickly. But Cordelia didn't give up. Know that he's really suffering from overworking earlier. Once he lies down later, I'm sure he'll be throwing up blood. Ray, really? Yes, so he needs treatment. To heal it, he needs a lot of good energy, like the essence of the blue moon. Having spoken so far, Cordelia stared at gentle snow breeze with expectant eyes, and Jude managed to hold back his laughter by covering his mouth with his hand. Cordelia was acting and saying nonsense while scamming, but he found her appearance of working hard to scam someone as very cute. Moreover, a smile was drawn on Jude's face because of the fact that she was trying so hard. So to summarize, Jude is actually sick right now and needs the essence of the blue moon to be cured. Yes, that is correct, that's it. Cordelia nervously stared at gentle snow breeze. In fact, Cordelia was in a bit abnormal state right now. Her reasoning and emotions have become simpler because of the beast mode's effect. I see. Gentle snow breeze looked back at Jude, and Jude gently opened his hand to show the essence of the blue moon. Gentle snow breeze nodded her head. It's all right, after all, we can't return the essence of the blue moon to the Moonlight Hill anyway. It would be better if someone needed it. You can't return it. Yes, the connection between the essence of the blue moon and Moonlight Hill is already broken. We have no choice but to collect the moonlight and due to make the essence for a long time again, so... Gentle snow breeze's words trailed off in the end, but she warmly smiled as she looked at Jude and Cordelia. I've seen Cordelia's beautiful feelings for her fiancé. I'll give you the essence of the blue moon, because I have to repay you for saving me and my children. Wow, thank you very much. Cordelia bowed down in gratitude, before she tapped Jude on the chest and then winked. See, this is what I can do. Who'll take care of you if not me? It was true that the essence of the blue moon gem could no longer be returned. And it was true that Cordelia's actions led to the gem being handed over to Jude. All right, should I get started too then? Huh. Instead of answering again with his eyes, Jude took a step forward. O gentle snow breeze, this humble one dares to speak to you. Go ahead. I would like to express my utmost gratitude first. Thank you very much for giving me the essence of the blue moon. No problem, as it's a fair reward. Without you and Cordelia, I and my children would have still been stuck in this crisis. Gentle snow breeze laughed softly, and Cordelia was suddenly embarrassed as her cheeks turned slightly red, but Jude was different. You're right, as gentle snow breeze said, it is thanks to the efforts of me and Cordelia, but in fact Cordelia's achievement is even bigger. Cordelia worked harder and was more active than me. What is he talking about all of a sudden? Cordelia looked at Jude in confusion, and gentle snow breeze innocently smiled. I see, thank you very much, Cordelia. Yes, so shouldn't Cordelia also have a reward? Jude replied. The essence of the blue moon was given to Jude, not Cordelia. Cordelia herself hadn't received any rewards yet. In fact, it was rather unreasonable to demand compensation so directly. But Jude didn't care. For his fiancée, who had worked hard for him, he had to demonstrate to her the sophisticated way of scamming so that she can do it better next time. Gentle snow breeze, in my opinion. Like an expert teaching his skills to his assistant, he showed it to the two innocent girls, Cordelia and gentle snow breeze. Episode 75.2, Settlement 1. As I said yesterday, we have 2 chapters today. Terms used in this chapter. Puppy cat Ginyangai, a cat that acts like a dog. The battle was over. When Madga died, most of the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe chose to flee, and they suffered great damages while on the run. Fine snow and clear snow did not go too far. After driving out all the warriors of the Angry Bull tribe from gentle snow breeze's domain, victorious shouts broke out, and Jude and Cordelia also joined them. And that night, as she faced Jude and Cordelia, gentle snow breeze asked as she slightly frowned. It's nice to see you being affectionate, but is she okay? Yes, it's one of the side effects of using beast mode. She'll be fine tomorrow morning. Jude said as he awkwardly smiled, because Cordelia's head was on top of his lap. Cordelia was clinging onto Jude, as if she was a dog or cat that was carefully resting on his lap. She's like a puppy cat. As her body was curled up, Cordelia occasionally licked Jude's hand and purred like a real cat. She was also asking him to pet her instead of sitting still. She'll be fine tomorrow morning. Yes, she'll clearly remember it. Perhaps by tomorrow morning, her face will turn red and she'll pretend not to remember. Ahem, I see. After clearing her throat, gentle snow breeze brought out a small box. This is the memory of the wind. It meets the requirements that you asked for. Thank you very much. Inside the box was a green feather that looked to be very old. We've gathered almost all the materials for the ancestral regression technique. Ancestral regression was a technique that reverts time, which required items that contained powers from the past. The memory of the wind was not originally a required item, but as gentle snow breeze said, it was an item that meets the requirements because it contained the past time like the freezing stone. The only items left are the angelic blood and a special ink to use when drawing the magic circle. In the latter case, it was possible to somehow find a substitute, since it only required something that had high concentrations of mana. In short, Cordelia would be able to use ancestral regression once she obtains Lena's blood, who was the only angel on the planet at this point. The fallen angel mode is just around the corner. With a happy smile, Jude said as he looked at gentle snow breeze again. Gentle snow breeze, as I had said, we are thinking of building an Eastern alliance that is centered on the Great Storm tribe. Would you like to join? I will join. I can help build the Eastern Alliance by spreading the word to the nearby wild gods and tribes. I'm also planning on taking steps to prevent any further damage to the dragon vein. Great storm and gentle snow breeze may be children when compared to violent avalanche, but in terms of strength, they were in the top ranks among the wild gods. If these two joined forces and called for the creation of an alliance, even the wild gods who had not yet been damaged would be interested in joining the Eastern Alliance. Maybe the Golden Dragon King may wake up this time. The Golden Dragon King. It was the first time that Jude had heard of that name. Gentle Snow Breeze said as she warmly looked at Cordelia, who had begun to doze off on Jude's lap. The Golden Dragon King is the first and the strongest wild god. He is like the parent of all the wild gods living in the wild land. In other words, he's the king of the wild gods. But Gentle Snow Breeze said that he might wake up. In short, he was sleeping right now. A long time ago, when the overlords of hell came down to this world, the Golden Dragon King fought a fierce battle against the overlords to protect the wild land. Fortunately, he was able to drive out the overlords from the wild land, but the Golden Dragon King also suffered from a lot of injuries. He fell asleep to treat himself. Yes, though it's been almost 1,000 years since then. The overlords of hell who came down to this world. Considering the location, it seemed to be referring to Leviathan, the overlord of destruction. There's a story that he might wake up if the wild lands is in danger. That story was like a legend, even among the wild gods. That didn't happen in Legend of Heroes 2, though. But that didn't mean that it won't happen this time. Oh Gentle Snow Breeze, this humble one has a question they dare to ask. Speak. Is there something like a hidden secret in Raptor Canyon? It was the place where Lena died. At Jude's question, Gentle Snow Breeze briefly closed her eyes as her long eyelashes fell, before she nodded her head. A long time ago, there existed a magic kingdom of very powerful elves. It was eventually destroyed by the overlords of hell, but not all of their traces disappeared. Then Raptor Canyon. Yes, it is the place where the capital of the fallen magic kingdom was located. There are still ruins of those days all throughout the Raptor Canyon. Only a few of those mysterious ancient races are left. Jude now understood why Lena suddenly appeared in Raptor Canyon. The magic kingdom of the ancient elves. It was destroyed in their fight against the overlords of hell. It was a place of interest for Lena, a wizard who declared that she would devote her life to fighting against demons. Jude, are you heading for Raptor Canyon? Yes, we were asked to go by the Guardians of the Holy Cross, so we must go. All right, I understand. I'll wait for you two after forming the Eastern Alliance. I look forward to the moment when I'll see you again. Thank you, I look forward to seeing you again too. That was it. Jude bowed again, and then left the temple while carrying Cordelia on his back, who was constantly rolling on the floor earlier, and Gentle Snow Breeze smiled as she looked at the two leaving. They're a fantasy couple. They really got along well and looked adorable. But there was someone who thought differently. I admit that they suit each other well. The two are really a crazy couple. Not a fantasy. They're crazy, they're crazy. Violent Avalanche strongly asserted, as it once again talked about the fight on the Rocky Mountain, and Gar, Elle and Adelia looked at each other. Well, the two indeed had gone too far. It's because of someone's younger brother. Ahem, Jude is a very gentle child. Then are you saying that Cordelia is violent? That's right, she's violent, she's aggressive, very violent, she's not. TN, not exactly a pun, but just a word with different meanings. Guajucada can mean gone too far, violent, or aggressive. Violent Avalanche flinched when Adelia's fierce eyes interrupted its words, so it tried hard to negate its previous words, and Gar, Elle who saw that, had a small smile. Moving on, I think the two had become very strong. You're right, the two are pretty good when you hear the story. Especially Cordelia, who was really good at fighting. She was completely like a fighting cock. I get it, don't crush me, sob sob. As Violent Avalanche was being crushed by Adelia, Gar Elle struggled in holding back his laughter before he began talking again. In any case, it seems that it wasn't an elopement. I feel like they were involved in a lot of things. You're right, from the fairy queens to the guardians of the Holy Cross. In addition, they were now fighting against a plot of the demon followers to seize the entire barbarian lands. We have to hurry up and join the two. Yes, we must. Ahem. The last was Violent Avalanche again. Gar-El and Adelia were talking in a low voice while facing each other, before they simultaneously looked back at Violent Avalanche, and the white bear cub said as it squinted its eyes. No, I was just thinking that you look alike. You mean both Jude and Lady Cordelia? Yes, they resemble you too. Lord Gar-El is Jude's older brother, and I'm Cordelia's older sister. It's natural that we resemble each other. Yes, because we're siblings. Gar-El spoke as he looked at Adelia and smiled, and Adelia just nodded quietly and not snort like usual. And Violent Avalanche thought, no, that's now what I meant. There was a strange atmosphere between the two. However, Violent Avalanche only kept those words in its mind, because Adelia would surely send a fierce gaze if Violent Avalanche put those words out of its mouth. And a dozen minutes passed. We're here. Violent Avalanche suddenly jumped from its spot and began running towards the front, and Gar-El and Adelia could see it too. The village of the Great Storm Tribe was spread out before their eyes. Episode 76.1, Settlement 2. Terms used in this chapter. The Heart Sutra, one of the most revered Buddhist sutras in both Chinese and Japanese cultures. Some of its lines include, form does not differ from the void, and the void does not differ from form. Form is void and void is form. Most Koreans don't know what it means, but because it seems deep, it is often used in situations where one tries to look cool deep. Though in this chapter, Jude seems to know its real meaning, so he uses it to calm himself down. I won't explain what the lines mean, as there are different interpretations of it, but just know that form can refer to one's body and void can also mean emptiness. Level is a thug, Korean gaming slang that means that as the levels increase, the stronger or better one's skills or abilities are. It's actually hard finding a good explanation about this slang, but it just means that a weak character can become as strong as a thug if they had a higher level. When this slang is used on bosses, it means that boss high level makes it so strong that it is like a thug bully towards the player. One's eyes are covered with bean pods, a Korean idiom which means to only see good in someone after falling in love with them. TN, OMG, is this a confession, Jude? Inside the lodging prepared by the gentle Snow Breeze tribe. Jude, whose face, neck, back of his hands and so on were covered in saliva, stared down at the floor with a look of liberation. Cordelia was curled up on the blanket and asleep with a happy face. Whose form does not differ from the void, and the void does not differ from form. Form is void, and void is form. After reciting lines from the Heart Sutra, Jude covered Cordelia with a blanket and sat down on a chair in exhaustion. So exhausting. It was physically and mentally exhausting. But he eventually smiled afterwards. Because the curled-up Cordelia's face looked so happy. Will she make a fuss when she wakes up tomorrow? The side effect of beast mode made her act like a puppy cat, but her memories of it won't disappear. Several experiments have already revealed that. A rather wicked smile appeared on Jude's face as he thought of how Cordelia would act tomorrow. In fact, Jude had already formed a plan on how to tease her. How peaceful. Just a few hours ago, they had a life-and-death battle against a mid-ranking demonic human, so it wasn't really peaceful at that time. After he smiled again, Jude washed his face with water from a basin before he sat on the floor with his back towards Cordelia. The essence of the blue moon. As he silently stared at the blue gem in his hand, Jude straightened his back and closed his eyes. Reality wasn't exactly the same as it was in the game, but it was still a world that had many similarities with the game. An example of that was the level. Like what he told Cordelia, as the level increased, the overall stats also increased. Level is a thug, and just as the saying goes, Jude was originally born with a weak body, but after reaching levels 40-42 now, the strength of his body was high enough to look down on most ordinary knights of Count Bayer. His muscle strength had also become stronger, and it was at a level that the strength power he can exert was almost like a superpower. It's not some kind of built-in muscle, though. Jude had become quite strong, but that doesn't mean that he became a muscular man like Landius. However, his power was nearly twice that of a typical adult male. Because these days, I feel like Cordelia is as light as a feather. He was fine with holding her on his arms or carrying her on his back. Though it was also true that he had been carrying her a lot these days. Well, maybe it's a little like bean pods covering my eyes. When he thought of that, Jude cleared his throat and tried to clear his mind again. Didn't he sit with his back on Cordelia to get rid of all the distractions in the first place? Anyway, leveling up was the surest and most basic way to become strong. But this alone is not enough. One's body becomes stronger when they level up. Not only did the physical and muscle strength increase, but the physical body itself was strengthened. And the stamina and defensive abilities also increased. But there was no tech skill tree here. This is the most painful thing. In the game, new skills appeared just by leveling up, but this was reality, so no matter how much he leveled up, no new skills had appeared. Cordelia's case is a little different though. Cordelia had the witch's spell book. It was a magical spell book wherein more pages could be opened when she reached a specific level, so Cordelia was able to learn new magic spells at certain levels, just like a game. But that didn't apply to Jude. In the end, the only means to become strong now is to level up, and the ninth heaven's 9 doors. He had to open a new door of the ninth heaven's 9 doors. Landius had said that it was how he gained new abilities. I'll be able to evolve the 24 Gale steps. When the first door was opened, the 36 worldly steps became 24 Gale steps. When the second door opened, a whirlwind was added to his 24 Gale steps. Following this pattern, it was highly likely that the 24 Gale steps would evolve again when the third door is opened. All right, let's open the third door. The essence of the blue moon contained the power of the pure moonlight. If he can absorb it all, he would be able to open the third door. Jude closed his eyes and focused his mind. Cordelia's breathing from behind his back slightly disturbed his mind, but he soon calmed down his mind. With a pure and serene mind, he entered a state where he accepted the power of the moonlight from the essence of the blue moon. The pure energy of the moonlight entered his body. It was so clear and pure that it seemed to be harmful to ordinary people. But not for Jude. Jude already possessed a pure energy due to the meeting of both yin and yang energies. When both yin energies met, they became one with each other without much difficulty. Tn, moonlight, is yin energy, so when combined with Jude's yin energy, the two becomes one. Jude slowly controlled his breathing. He recited the mnemonic chant of the ninth heaven's 9 doors, bringing the yin energies inside and outside of his body into one. Jude forgot the time. He was isolated from the passage of time. The pure and clear energy of the moonlight that accepted the power of the moon spread throughout his body. He collected his breathing and he controlled his breathing. Jude felt it. The last meridian which had been blocked by his Gumjalmeek was pierced. As the energy of the moonlight spread throughout his body, his meridians also began to open. His meridians completely opened. His inner Kai freely cycled his body. A door emerged in Jude's mind. The third door. The third door of ninth heaven's 9 doors. Jude slowly opened the door. He opened it at the same time it was installed. He had already done it twice. The opening of the third door was the same as the opening of the first and second doors. No, it was different from before. Jude could feel it. Everything was pitch black. A white light appeared in this black area. It covered the sky and the ground. There was someone who stood in that white world that spread out on the pitch-black darkness. He or she. He didn't know yet. It was an unrecognizable existence at the level of the third door. But he or she saw Jude. They had a smile on their face. A person who sat inside that white world. A silhouette of a person who seemed to have been drawn with rough ink lines. He or she began to move. He or she made a slow but clear move, as if telling Jude to look carefully. And that was the moment. A new chant came to Jude's mind. A clear voice echoed in his head. It became a little clearer and more visible. It was a woman. The figure of a woman who seemed to be drawn with rough ink lines taught Jude. New movements, a new chant, and a new skill. Black Dragon Release Technique. The woman said. She stretched out her hand. At that moment, a giant black dragon rose from her palm and struck the white world. Roar! The black dragon roared. It smashed and destroyed the white world. The woman turned to Jude. Once again, she smiled brightly and raised her hand to point at Jude. She pretended to use the skill again. Give it a try. You can do it. Ninth Heaven's 9 Doors Black Dragon Release Technique. Jude recited the chant. His aura moved, his Chinmujich responded. It naturally knew what to do and how to do it. Black Dragon Release Technique. Jude said. He stretched out his hand.